you know, financially we're all kind of strapped. We can't go anywhere and do anything. But the Shepherd Family Dollar Store has been very kind. They're donating 50% to our TV show because we have a show for financial literacy, and so they're donating to what we're doing here. We greatly appreciate it. We've got these great, wonderful things you can shop online. I'm a dollar store freak because I don't spend a lot of money for the same products I can get anywhere else. I'm not a shopper anyway. Everybody thinks I am, but I'm a homebody. And so, being stranded at home has actually probably been a bad thing for me right now because getting back out later is going to be hard. So, but anyway, Abhijeet, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. We are trying our best to work on the different sectors and different activities of our economy and how in layers we can start it.
That's right. We need
There
those.
are hotspots identified into New Delhi and various places in India. And these hotspots are strictly locked down from incoming and any kind of outgoing. And probably in coming phase, what we see as of now is these hotspots will further be intensively scrutinized. A combing operation may happen on these hotspots. And at the other side, the relaxation which we see into lockdown is not generic for everyone. The relaxation which we see, there are other places also which we have identified. And these places are not having any cases. It's completely clean. So those places are going to be next immunity circle. And these immunity circle will again be cordoned off and locked down. But since these immunity circles, they are spreading, and when they will reach and they will touch each other, then they will be collected into each other. They will be collapsed and the internal barriers will be removed. And now I think in coming days, in another 2 weeks, we are going to have two type of cordoned areas where we have no infection and there we have very high infection. Rest other can be open for lockdown, or these are at least internally the movement and the other things can be opened. Railway has opened couple of sectors, so 134 trains has been opened on 72 routes of cities. Other than that, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, and many other states and many other cities has been opened. By end of this next 2 weeks, 171 trains will be delivering perishable materials and necessary materials, medicines and parcels. So these, I think, economy is getting open into different layers, and these layers are going to bring our sectors into positions. There are new guidelines who are coming for specific like textile sector or health industry sector or pharmaceutical industries to adhere the guideline, do an internal type of voluntary work to make the team of healthcare unit understand that we would be able to abide the compliances raised by the healthcare experts and healthcare agencies, and please let us allow to open our units. So that if we are not giving our products out, at least we will be able to do a couple of production within this lockdown period. So over to you. I'll keep on injecting a couple of more positivity.
No, I think
for
it's
Lynn.
very positive.
Yeah, Lynn, there is actually a software which does translation called WPML, which is, it just you just select from a drop-down box and it translates your whole website.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, there is a software called
I just pulled it
WPML.
up. Yeah. Okay. I see exactly what you're talking about.
Just a thought, there is that soft WPML. Yeah.
That's for Lynn.
That's for Lynn, yes.
That's from. So
yeah,
no, this is great.
It was interesting insights shared by you, and I think general public are not aware about what's going on and how the economy will open up in the layers that you mentioned. So, how soon you see the normalcy? Is it still a couple of months down the line, or you see that things will be normal in some cities and then it will gradually add more cities to it? And what happened to Delhi?
At this stage of time, normalcy would not come into a single click. and people will be suddenly be able to go out. The places which is being identified as immunity places where there are no cases, in these areas are getting spread into after a combing operation of including more buildings and more areas into it. I think that would bring normalcy, because people at least between those areas will be able to move inside. They'll be operate and they will feel that they're out of the fear. Other than that, those areas where more than dozen and more than 10, 20 cases has been identified in a very small area, they are hotspots at this stage of time. Apart from these to economy, if you look at from the economy side, there are sectors and there are guidelines coming from government side also, that if you want to open your production unit or if you want to open your office, there are certain level of care and certain layer of uh, careless activity which you will have to do. Sanitization, how your staff is entering, how are they sitting, who is keeping an eye on them. So these will open, but the compliance is yet very difficult. The navigation of such a large economy like India, is the communication is not so easy to reach out to SMEs and small sector and startups. So these where they have to go, what are the nodal officers? I think last 3 days ministries has got open. Ministries has taken a place in their offices with their small core team, and they're coming out with more of the more clarity that who are the nodal officer in your area. If you can produce mask or if you can produce any of the material which is important for this, you can go ahead and you can make it. We can give you a special exemption, but there would be conditions. It would be conditionals. So normalcy, I think it will come like this. People who can operate digitally, they are operating from home. People who cannot operate, they have to go. The government and the administration is trying to give them ID card so that they can go to their workplace. If it is not so necessary, they are also sitting and staying in the same premises where they have to work, so that they then don't need to go in and out.
No, I think.
And also,
What? Go ahead.
Yes, Kim.
Well, I was.
So today we are discussing about how the technology can fight with the pandemic.
That's exactly
what
what I was. Go ahead and ask that, Ankit. I was asking the same question. Go ahead.
So, Abhijeet, when you say that the technologies, the economy is coming up and then in different layers, and government is trying to understand how we can open up the economy and the production of different companies in different cities. So, what kind of technology we are seeing, to help us out to fight with this situation and also the COVID matters as well? Any briefings on that? That what kind of technology we are using? And also, as we discussed last time as well, that can we have some immunity passport? Can we talk to the government and plan something as an immunity passport or a medical something like that?
As of now, no. But as far as
Yes.
technologies are concerned, I think process to identify people who are the owners of technology, who are working in those areas of technology like IoT or immersive media, or I think we have more than 13, 14. Is it possible for you to show a screen? Then Ease of Doing Business homepage has listed those technologies. So in those areas, we are trying to get things work and bring things into a possibility where technologies can be identified, and people who are associated with those technologies, they can identify that, okay, we are into this exemption list, or we are into these kind of waivers we can avail, and we can go and we can ask for this. So these are human to computer. These are faster and better internet, the new screens. Couple of more technologies which seems to be getting important is automation and technology which are related to healthcare units, telematics and telemedicine. Blockchain is again going to work a lot, because people who are associated with blockchain, they do not need to much move around. And then big data, immersive media, e-mobility, things which are coming under these technologies are they even the owners of these technologies are not much known to it, that their technology can contribute into healthcare or things which are complicated at this time of this juncture of time. Their technology can actually serve a mode to make it easy, so that people can interact with each other. If there is a work which is not possible without a physical interaction, it can be done. So lots of technology which we have listed on Ease of Doing Business website. We are trying to get clarity from the recent relevant authorities and get these clarity spread between people who are associated with these technologies, so that they can do some shifting into their activity. If they can shift to telemedicine, or they can shift to manufacturing something which is very much important, and we are forced to import it at this stage of time. These are the things which we are doing.
Where'd Ankit go? I think Ankit's going to try to pull up some of the data that you were requesting, and he is working on that. We also have Nicholas Palaveda here, who wants to come to your country, and he's getting all suited up.
Hey, listen, I'm the man with the plan, baby. I have the solution to your pollution right now here. Okay, so the thing is, and here's the solution. First of all, notice I have the earmuffs, because Dr. Moskowitz said, hey, if you're just wearing a mask, that virus will come right through your ears, but not my ears, because I got my earmuffs on, right? My eyes are protected. So this way the virus won't come through my eyes. I protected my mouth. I've got a mask, and I've got the gloves on. Now I go back to work, right?
No.
The thing is,
he's asking, can he go back to work in your country?
I can go
Will there be a dress code?
Yeah,
can you go back to work?
Yeah, I'm all ready to go. So the thing is, we do have a solution. Remember, in science, you all listen to Occam's razor, right? Occam's razor said the simplest solution is probably the correct solution to the problem. Or if you got to get to A to B, the straight line is the fastest way to get there. Going around in circles not so good. So what's wrong with protecting your ears, protect your eyes, protect your face, protect your hands, and then you can go out and meet and greet. Comments?
So I think what Nick is asking is if they properly get dressed and suited up, is that going to be some of the standard normal?
This is the new normal. It does not really stop the coronavirus. It mitigates the possibility of infecting people, including you getting infecting, or if you have it, infecting other people.
I see.
What is wrong with this is a solution to get most people back to work, except the restaurant industry, which I haven't figured out yet.
Well, in India, the Ministry of Home Affairs has already made it illegal to leave the house without a mask.
Yeah,
so the mask, it's straight off. It is very clear.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just the mask. As Dr. Moskowitz says, it can enter through your ears, so you cover your ears, your eyes.
He hasn't got the ears of our home ministers yet.
Your hands. Well, the thing is, somebody needs to talk to these people. This is not rocket science. Come on. You got a lot of computer guys that are real smart. Can't they figure this one out? This is very.
That's what we're doing here. We're one thing I like about what India has done is they've isolated their communities, which I thought was the smartest way to manage any pandemic situation, was to centralize your communities, and then you identify your hot spots and you manage and monitor your hot spots. I like the idea of not leaving your home without being protected. It's not for you, it's for other people. So if you could, because we don't know when people have this. One of the problems, I love the idea of testing, but one of the problems we have with testing is what if you test negative today, but 5 minutes later you become positive?
Well, you retest, and of course you test and you retest people, but not only that, once you do discover somebody that has a problem, that's where technology can help, as you discover all the people that person has come in contact with, and you try to shut down that particular group. But we
don't have enough tests. Nick. The problem is that there's just not enough tests.
Not yet, but the thing is,
7 billion tests, and that too many times over to test them every so many minutes.
You're thinking that 7 billion people have this. Remember, if you go to the African continent and the hot weather continents, they do not have this. Apparently, either A, they're not testing for it, or B, the virus does what we believe breaks down in the warm weather and the hot environments. First of all, if you have high humidity and you spit out something when you're talking, the humidity brings it down faster, lowering the propensity for having the virus spread. Number two, the virus sometimes isn't sustainable long in hot weather. Think about it. If you go to your car and you touch your car during the summertime, it's super hot. It burns everything, including that bloody virus. So So what happens, and this might happen in this particular case, when you go to July and August, the hot weather in and of itself, if we don't do anything, actually mitigates the viruses. So, yeah, we don't have testing for everybody yet. But
viruses are not like bacteria. Some of them are temperature resistant.
No, I understand that, but we don't know for sure. Some of them are, and some of them aren't. But a study was done from people at MIT. It said 90% of coronavirus is in the cold climates. 90%, only 10% is in the warmer climates. And so there is a theory that perhaps the coronavirus is actually sensitive to the high heat and high humidity. We won't know that until probably July or August, but there's a tendency. The more you do to mitigate the problem, like I said, wearing your proper gear and being trained to dispose of it. One problem you have is these gloves, you see. If you don't dispose of them immediately, you bring them home and you touch other things, you just infected your house. Even though
you can do things like the Japanese do. They take off their shoes and certain portions of their clothes when they enter their home and leave it at the front of the door. I have a mud room as I walk in from my garage. I could take my outer layer clothes and dump them off in the washroom so that they can be clean. So there's different ways to do this, but I want to discuss the ease of doing business, because I feel like that you kind of are preparing for certain things and going into business with this. I'm not saying that you knew that the pandemic was going to happen, but many things that you talk about here are things that we need to do in general practice anyway. Do you want to share your site with us, Abhijeet?
Yes, I think Ankit has brought the page where we were discussing about technologies. So if Ankit, you can take us to Tech 2019, then these are the technologies which has been finalized, and these are the technologies which has an interceptable mode where we can do without coming out of the home. So most of the technologies which we have picked up into this, their work, their development, their commercialization, the development and innovation in these sectors can be executed without coming out from their house. So all sectors who are falling or who all are connected with these technologies are very much welcome. We are asking them to come up and share their activities and what they were doing before lockdown and what they can do right now. So be it the projects or they can join as a facilitator, they can collaborate and they can say, okay, I have this technology and it can help into scrutinizing people or doing an analytical work into data analysis, because India has a very huge population. It is not possible to do a combing operation, and it is not also possible, as Rakesh said, that we do not have such huge number of testing kits available with it. Mm-hmm. Still, we have to make sure that we are going out from the risk of coronavirus. In that sense, the cordon of areas which are not hotspots, which are clean areas, but these clean areas also need to be regularly monitored. Testing, as Kimberly said very well, that if you test somebody today, there is no chances that he will not get it affected tomorrow or after 1 week or 2 weeks. So one testing kit spent on one person would again, one population cannot be tested 2 times or 3 times. We do not have simply such resources to do that. In that situation, we have to maintain that which person is falling into which area. Where he has been cordoned off, is it into clean area or he is in a hotspot? If he is in hotspot, then what kind of medication, who is taking care of it, how his personal data, information and identity has been matched to a hotspot. And if he is into a clean area, then the possibility of developing a course which can be called the immunity passport. That immunity passport is going to give an opportunity for them to move around from one clean area to another clean area. And then we will have only those areas who are into hotspot.
But actually, one of the issues that came up here, having people work from home and use the internet, is 12 million people in the United States have no access or can't afford to be on the internet. Question I have in India: how many people in India have no access or can't afford to be on the internet?
India has 800 million mobile phones with data connections.
Really? Okay. So most,
but I don't know how many of them are as accessible and as exposed to internet connection and internet activities. But these are the numbers which are of existing services of data connection and portals.
right.
The kind of numbers which we have, they all are not even on that level. The literacy level is not that high that they can be considered they can work from home. They still have mobile phones for the communication, but they cannot be said that they can do a work from home. In that scenario, the work which we are doing and the possibilities which we are creating for them is to, on these technologies, if they're associated, it is okay. If into some other technologies where they have to go and work, the two options are still open for them. They can stay at the workplace, or if it is a production unit, and they can work from there. The product which they are producing is not necessarily go out. It may go out after the lockdown, but the loss which economy as a whole will make, that can be minimized by continuing the production. And after China replacement as a production hub for Asia, the gap which will be created for export and the supply which China was doing, I think India would come up with this new as a new phase for filling that gap of production, which will create a vacuum after China.
I also think that we're going to have to upgrade our technology resources at this point, and not have a test that we do every day, but it's going to have to be embedded in our bodies. I really think I hate saying it, it's something that I know a lot of people wanted to avoid, but a chip that goes into our body that tests our immunity system, that constantly tests what's in our bloodstream, right down to diabetes and cholesterol. I think it just needs to be something that goes in and perpetually tests us.
I think haven't they actually developed that technology that you can actually like wear a ring and the thing is it actually reports. At least we looked at a couple of years ago that you could they're wearable medical devices. So when you're talking about testing and retesting, you could actually have these wearable medical devices that report immediately what your medical condition is to a central unit. So the thing is, we do have some advanced technology we could actually use, so we don't have to do testing, retesting all the time. Because
I think it's just going to have to be something that we are perpetually interconnected to. Internet of Things and Internet of all things. I think we've evolved. I noticed that you're working with quantum computing, which is something that we have yet to truly utilize.
Right.
And maybe this is our next.
But wearables, okay, if you put all the face mask on, the low-tech stuff on, which is fairly easy to do, and then you have a wearable device that does reporting instantaneously, then the thing is you can mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. I just see that actually could work. The problem, of course, is the cost. It's just like today when I found out 12 million people in the United States have no access to the internet. And so they're trying to teach people at home, but then they find out, well, they don't have the computers and they don't have the internet. Bringing internet access to everybody can make a big difference, because the way I look at it, how can the internet is how you access the information from around the world.
Well, Nick, one of the things in the U.S. is that everything is commercialized and paid. They want everybody to make money on. Whereas in other countries, and I'm not quite sure about India, but other countries that I've worked with and spoke with, the internet is free. It's
really?
not necessary.
Wait, Abhijeet, I got to ask that question, Abhijeet, since he kind of hangs out in India. Abhijeet, is the internet free in India?
It's not free, but it's very cheap.
Really?
So there you go.
Very, very cheap.
So you make the internet accessible to the people in India. It's accessible.
Yeah, quite accessible.
Right, it's affordable, because here
it's much affordable in any other country in Asia. The tariff is very low.
Wow.
And people usually, when this new company called Jio came, they give an internet free initially for 3 months, and then again for 3 months. So 6-month internet were given free to them. So live streaming, YouTube and everything, which people were enjoying, they were not paying anything. They were just sticking to the connection, and then it brought a very good case study for the globe that how they managed to do it. And then I think their subscription base has increased a lot.
Right.
with that.
Ours is like, mine is $70 a month
And that's
where I live. And then
where
if I travel, I have to pay a fee at the airport, and then I have to pay a fee to the airlines. And, each airline has their own fee. So by the time I'm done paying for internet access a year, it's a couple of $1,000.
and that's just internet
In
access.
India, if you pay $4, then you get around, on your phone, you get around 84 days free internet.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So I have my ticket. I'm going to be moving over there.
Nick's moving to India after this because you have the lowest rate of COVID. Here's the secret, Nick. It's they aren't fighting over how it needs to be managed. Okay.
Right.
They've got the people in place, like you mentioned. They've got the doctors and all the people in place that are telling their country what they need to do, and they're doing it. They're not fighting over each community, or like in our place, each state is arguing over, well, we don't want to do it this way. We're an independent state. So they're not doing that. They're listening to their superiors. The lockdown became very impactful and immediate.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Well, it's fascinating to see that they have a low-cost internet, because that's how you access the information from the world. I mean, you can learn a lot just by being able to access the internet. Over here, there are a lot of people that have no access to it, Abhijeet. What about drones and bots? Are you using that to tackle, Abhijeet, the pandemic issues?
Sorry, I could not hear you. Can you repeat?
Oh, sure. Any drones or bots? In other words, are drones participating in the
Drums and boxes.
Yeah, drones and robots.
Robots and drones.
Okay, robot. You're
Utilized.
asking me about robotics, right?
Yeah,
Right.
The robotics as a technology in India is being used primarily for a scale up, and it is not very much on large scale up. So at this stage of time, when we take a technology into use of doing business, what we do initially, that we try to conclude some pilots so that the threat related to this, maybe financing a project which is related to robotics, or maybe commissioning a project, giving a license as per se the threat which regulatory bodies see that there might be a robot which can create an havoc also. So how do we meet those challenges? How do we categorize those robots, and which areas will be open for those robots? These were difficult questions for India to address initially, because we are not very highly regulated country. And in that stage, if an area which is of a high security importance, it can be invaded through a robot. So primarily we tried to do that, and that brought us into a segment where robots will be initially used for very necessity services. So all hospitals in Delhi or in India, where we've done a pilot where a robot can pick up a blood sample or a blood supply from one hospital to another hospital, and it can be created that the spending which was happening on the ambulances and the time and energy people were spending to running with a bottle of blood from one hospital to another hospital, going through the road and traffic, it was havoc. It was very, very bad. So that infrastructure, that all hospitals who are there on the mapping, it can be mapped, and 10 robots or 20 robots or the drones can be given to them, and they can keep on exchanging. So one area can be networked that way. So these are the things with robots, and these are the things which happening with drones as of now. But it is not on a very scale. The financing and economics around it is still a challenge. It is not a very pro project for banking. And until and unless it is a very banking sector is very pro, we cannot consider it's commercialized properly as of now.
Yeah, because
drones come in many different sizes too. This is a little house drone I have. It's more for fun, but it flies all over the place. I mean, it's a toy I'm playing with and experimenting with different scalable drones because it's so lightweight, right? So one of the problems you have with drones and is the weight payload, right? Is being able to carry the amount of weight from one place to another that you need to carry. That's some of the research we were doing in the military with some of the universities. I sit on a few boards in computer science university boards. So, but I foresee the use of mechanical things like this to help distance human contact, but we still need that human contact. I think in medical care, you're still going to have to maintain that human contact. You've got all kinds of now. Ankit is not with us because technology kind of knocked him out. So I've been controlling your website. So whatever you need to go to. And explain to us what you're doing in those areas, and what you see that where we need to be going because of a pandemic like this, and where the investment money is going, and what you see the government is focusing on. Can you describe some of those?
If you go on the sectors, I think Ankit has the control to move us to the sectors. Then in sectors, these technologies are going to get scaled up. And with each sector, the clarity as of now is not much. But in coming, I think it has been only 3 days and lots of clarity about textile it has came, about pharmaceuticals it has came, about healthcare it has came, about the kind of installation it is required in an corporate unit for office or to operate a production unit, it has came. So in 1 month, we see a clarity into all these sectors, which is being listed on the screen. And these sectors would be able to bring a very open interface for all technologies to land into these sectors and then move ahead. If you look at one of the sectors which is very prominent into India, which would come into center stage, and that sector is e-mobility. Electric mobility, since people were not understanding how important it is, how it is going to bring back a green climate, a clean climate, due to lockdown, people have understood it is very important. And it is giving them an opportunity to see how nature actually exists, minus the pollution. In that scenario, now we are left with two options. Either we continue with what we were doing, and then again we land up into spending millions and millions of rupees to clean our climate and do the same exercise, or we do a selective allowance. We allow vehicles to come back, but selectively, not all of them. And at the same time, we give a free hand to electric mobility vehicles, to battery-driven vehicles. They will be given a free hand, and the penalties and the kind of sanctions and fines which we can impose for running an IC engine vehicle, which is having a fossil fuel and creating emission, is the right time to come, because people have seen both incentive as a clean environment and threat as COVID impact. So they know if next virus is an airborne virus, then there is no life left after this.
Well, and the thing is that this is considered aerosol, but I've been actually controlling your website. Ankit kind of fell off, and so I've been trying to control it, but I found your e-mobile.
We have the lowest internet cost, but still we have a lot of difficulties. I think Abhijeet would agree that we still face a lot of internet difficulties. That's why I was out of the dashboard.
So I'm in.
So I was curious to know that when we're talking about the e-vehicles, are we talking about the smart vehicles as well, or only the electronic vehicles? Because there's a slight difference between a smart vehicle, which is electronic based, and there's an electronic based vehicle. So what are you? What's the future?
The future in India is a smart vehicle which has an electric power backup. It is not driven by the IC. So when we say 100% electric vehicle, then not necessarily, but what we see as of now is most of the vehicles which are popular in the market, who are picking up their sales, are smart vehicles too. So no 100% electric and no non-smart vehicle would not survive here. Second thing which is important in India is what kind of network which we are creating here into e-mobility is very important, because people are not willing to do three things about electric vehicle. They do not want to wait for their vehicle to charge. Second, they are not sure about how they are going to get backup if they break down on a highway. Third thing, their cost paradigms, what they were planning to invest into an IC engine and what they can invest now. The shift of mindset of a buyer is very difficult. Human being as a species is very greedy. If you go and if you tell them that you have a 6 lakh rupees budget, or you have a certain budget to buy a vehicle, then you try to tell them all examples of global warming, clean environment. They'll say, okay, I agree to you, but I can only spend another 100,000 rupees on this, not more than that. So in that margin, electric vehicles are not coming. Electric vehicles are roughly or approximately double the cost of what we have as of now. So the cost of vehicle,
yeah, please continue. Please continue.
the cost of vehicle, the roadside assistance if they break down, and the third thing, the time which they are going to spend on the charging. These three things we kept in the mind, and we started the first project, which is named and which is there on the website, called National Highway for Electric Vehicle, NH for EV 2020. So these 500-kilometer highway between Jaipur, our capital New Delhi, and Agra, the Taj. These 500-kilometer corridor would be the base, first India's e-highway corridor, and it would bring all two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, buses and cars and sports utility vehicle on that. They would have this facility of roadside assistance, cheaper vehicle price, and then they would not have to wait for their charging. It will be charged, and there will be possibility to give them in exchange batteries also.
So I want to ask something, because I kind of been delving. I'm an engineer, and I've been delving into, and I mostly delve into communications and tracking devices and things like that. But I like to dabble in renewable energy, right? Solar and things like that. I like to play with that. And why is it we have not been able to find a renewable chargeable car vehicle where it's got the big solar panel built all the way around it and it continuously charges? Or like we've learned that the brakes can charge the battery, right? So we've been able to do that with the spinning of but why haven't we been able to